dissatisfaction on the corruption, the series of corruption, that's happening out here. And today at 9 o'clock in the morning, especially Gen Z youths, like they came up in Kathmandu, especially in the Maitigar area, which is commonly, very popular for protest. And as they start coming, like I was there interviewing people, like, why are you, joining this protest? And these are students, like many of them, I could see they were actually in school or college uniforms, and they were demanding there should be end of corruption in the country, and also like they're quite dissatisfied with how the government is taking on corruption, on jobs, on employment, and on equality, and series of things. So this seems quite unique, because I have been reporting about the Nepal protest when there was protests in 2004, 5, and 6 as well. Like this was the first day of this protest. It seems to be quite huge, Gauri.
Mr. Bhandari, I want you to stay with us. I want to first quickly now play those very important sound bites of the Nepal Prime Minister reacting to these visuals that viewers you're seeing on your screens. These are from Kathmandu, and we are told right now there are reports emerging of similar protests happening in several other cities of Nepal as well. And let's quickly now listen into those reactions. We also get your reaction from the students who have organized this protest. We come back and talk more about how it's looking like right now from New Delhi's lens. But first up, listen into those reactions.
नेपालको कानुन मान्नुपर्ने, कुनै विदेशीले कारोबार गर्यो भने कानुन मान्नु नपर्ने, जेनजी पुस्तालाई पिर पर्यो अरे, राम्रो लागेन अरे, जेनजी पुस्ता भन्ने चाहिँ नि कुनै ठगी खाने भाडो हो।
तपाईं आज यो प्रोटेस्टमा किन आउनु भयो? Is this your first time in the protest?
Yeah, this is my first time. I'm against the corruption.
तपाईले करप्सन भइराछ भनेर चाहिँ कसरी थाहा पाउनु भयो?
अब हेर्नुस्, नेपाल सरकार एकदमै अब झुट बोल्दिन म, नेपाल एकदमै गरिब देश हो। मान्छेले सरकारले तलब खान्छन् 77,000 75,000, अनि विकली मलदिप्स ट्रिप, युरोप ट्रिप कहाँबाट आइरहेछ त? हाम्रै ट्याक्स भरेको पैसाबाट। अब यदि त्यो ट्याक्स तिरेको पैसा सही ठाउँमा लगानी भएको भए अहिले हामी भत्केको रोडमा हिँड्नु पर्थ्यो त? यो त्यही भएर करप्सन त भएको छ।
All right, Mr. Sikshit Bhatta, who's an entrepreneur, also joins me on the broadcast. Mr. Bhatta, now, as things stand right now, the information and the reports that we have is that 26 social media applications were banned by the Nepal government. In response, there was this organization, essentially youth under the age of 28, who came together on the streets of Nepal to protest against this ban. Is this how one should be reading this, or is there more to it? Mr. Bhatta? Okay. Mr. Bhandari, let me take that to you, sir. How do you read? Is this how we should be seeing it, or is there more to this?
More to this, like especially as you need to know the situation in Nepal, right? First and foremost, like nearly 2,000 people leave the country for jobs and employments out of the country. So what Nepalese are actually looking at the moment is jobs, like they're looking for employment, they're looking for opportunities. And so it's not just about the ban, it's actually about it has a deep root cause in the employment scenario in the country. So they're looking for jobs, they're looking for opportunities, and which they're not finding it. So I think that there's a huge frustration, and they have been putting those frustration on social media. And once the social medias are not there, they can't upload, they can't see, and they can't express their sentiments, and then it's natural for them to turn to the street, Gauri.
Okay, so the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology for the government of Nepal said it had given the companies 7 days to register following the court order where 26 of the applications were banned, and all had actually failed to meet the deadline. This is as per the information that's coming from government of Nepal, because of which these platforms, all 26 of them, were deactivated. It has been said that these protests are in response to that, though there could be more than that. All right, I believe that line with Mr. Bhatta has been fixed. Sir, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
How do you read what's happening right now on the streets of Nepal?
Well, I think it's a part of the problem that Nepali youths have been facing for several years or decades now, right? So this is something that's been brewing inside the level of corruptions to mismanagement to a lot of things that has happened over the last 20, 30 years. And what we've also seen the same faces come again and again, and there's not been a stable government for last few decades. It's the same people who are changing their seats, and it's a kind of a musical chair that happens in Nepal. So this frustration has been brewing for over many years, and the social media ban that came in last few days just fueled the fire.
I understand the political instability part of it that you are referring to, and viewers, it's very important that we put some of this in this context, and therefore we are able to understand how New Delhi is viewing how things are happening. Now, there are two things, viewers. One is that a lot of people have relatives from Nepal working in India and vice versa. There are marital ties, there are family relations, which is why when some of those social media applications did not work, when people were not able to connect, it did lead to some panic, which can explain partly what things are happening right now. Now, the second aspect, which one of the guests pointed out, is about the number of leadership changes that Nepal has seen. And in the last decade or so, I believe at least a dozen, if not more, prime ministers have actually happened. Nepal has seen that many in just the last decade. It could be anywhere, but I think about 12 to 13 prime ministers, adding to the political instability that the country has faced. Now, this is a question I ask both of you, Mr. Bhandari as well as Mr. Bhatta, which is that what do you think is going to be the look ahead in terms of solving the immediate? Before we talk about anything long-term or reforms or any of that, I want to focus on the immediate. How do you see the situation being brought under control? Do you see the only government reaching out to these youngsters, or is there any other way? How do you see this? Mr. Bhandari, let me start with you.
I think that's a great question. As the protest is ongoing and it's also escalating in other parts of Nepal, especially in Kosi province and other parts, we have seen a series of rallies, in major cities of Nepal. If you ask me the question like what's going to happen as a journalist, it's quite difficult to predict at the moment, because we believe in facts and we believe how things will move on. So. At this moment, it's important to see how this protest will escalate, or whether it will grow tomorrow, whether there will be more protests in coming days or not. But what I think from my perspective, as what the government should do is to have communication with them, to have dialogue with them, and then to have conversation with them. Because for anything in the world, what we need is dialogue, right? We need dialogue. We need to listen. We need to listen to these Gen Z youths who are coming on streets. It's because they have been forced to come on streets. It's not by the choice, because of the situation and the condition of the country. They are coming to the streets. So I think it's also important to address the problems and issues that they are actually bringing at the forefront. And if you see on TikTok and other social media platforms, there's a huge campaign on nepo kid, trends, especially they are actually this has actually come from other countries, the Philippines and Indonesia and other countries. They are actually coming up and saying about the politicians' children, so how they are spending the money, and they're saying that this is the money we actually pay on taxes, but how do you see the politicians, their children are actually spending all this money? How could they have all this money? So this is a big question of accountability and corruption at the moment. So which also needs to be addressed if they want to communicate or engage with the Gen Z.
Okay, so the government said this was regulatory compliance. People saw this as an effort to clamp down on their freedom of expression. and freedom to be able to freely use social media, and it was seen and viewed as an attempt to crush dissent. That is the backdrop of these protests. But one thing I ask this again, and at the cost of repeating, simply because, as I said, India has, New Delhi views this through a different lens. The political instability that Nepal has seen, there may be only 4 of those prime ministers, but they've actually formed governments over a dozen times in the last 10 years. Is the present government facing threat because of this political instability that you think is going to happen in the government? Do you see that happening right now? Mr. Bhatta, let me ask you that question.
Well, look, when you talk about the same faces, I think this is one of the very few times when you see the 2 largest parties forming a coalition government in case of Nepal, right? So, and this is supposed to be a very strong government based on the number of seats that they hold in the parliament. But when you look at the protest that's brewing right now, I'm sure the civils are going through this fight. And I'm sure internally, even though it may not be shown outside, they might be facing some jitters because of this protest, because the demands that these young people have come up with are legitimate, and no other political movement has been as effective or as large as the one that we've seen in Kathmandu this morning or this afternoon. And so therefore, I think that the government could possibly see it as a threat. And I think it is about time when they also retrospect. They see the demands and they learn about the aspirations that these young people have. Also, one also need to note the fact that when the social media is banned, right? Unlike people of the older generations like us, our neighborhood is physical, and that is where we go and speak and talk and interact with people. But for these young people, their neighborhood is digital. They live in a digital space. Okay. And if they take away a place of conversation, then they're taking away a big chunk or a part of their life. So this is, I think, very important.
Okay, so this is the context for viewers tuning in right now. Let's quickly bring them up to speed with what they're seeing right now on their screens. Protests have taken place in Nepal, ostensibly by the youth under 28, and in fact it's dubbed the Gen Z revolution. Why? Because early this month is when the government, KP Sharma Oli government, had come out with an order where it blocked 26 social media applications, and what it said was compliance and regulatory compliance was seen as an effort to crush dissent and difference of opinion, which resulted in people on the streets. You're seeing thousands of protesters on the streets. One protester has in fact died after police opened those water cannon and several other measures to ensure that they put in those blockades and ensure that the protesters do not come near the Prime Minister's residence. It seemed that they managed to break several of those blockades and barricades and moved ahead, which is when it seemed that the police opened tear gas to ensure that they bring some of these agitators under control. The slogans that they were coming out with was "Independent voice is our right" and "Where has the taxpayers' money gone?" This is the context, viewers, of what you are seeing right now on your screens. Water cannon was opened, and to bring those protesters under control, videos and images that are coming in show tear gas canisters to ensure that some of these protesters can be checked. Now, they all managed to breach the parliament compound. That is very serious. They managed to breach the parliament compound, indicating that there is some sort of an organized protest that is happening. One may ask that if 26 social media apps were actually banned, what was the app that they used to ensure that they all came together? TikTok was one. Maybe there was one such other platform that they used to connect and organize collectively. Now, this Gen Z revolution, what happens next? We are watching this very closely in Delhi, wondering whether this is going to be yet another quote-unquote student revolution in our neighborhood. But I want to ask this question to both our panelists. How do you see this now? Is there a way to bring this under control? Mr. Bhandari, let me ask you that.
Gauri, I think like this is a great question, like how this unfolds, and I want to come back to the same like line I mentioned as a journalist. Like it's quite difficult to predict at the moment, but like it looks what it looks is that when I talked with the protesters today on the street, young people coming directly from schools, colleges, they said like we didn't have food in the morning, like we're still empty stomach, but we are here for the protest. Like that there seems to kind of like the sense of like responsibility from Gen Z and all the sense of like belonging that our we should decide our future. That's what I could see, and this do reminds me of other protests that's happening all around the world, like how youths are coming and then having their voice. Like it also reminded me at certain point of the 2005-6, the moment that Nepal went through to overthrow monarchy. So it totally depends how what will happen tomorrow, like how.
Now, what will happen tomorrow is something we will wait, but there's breaking inputs coming in on this story. Mr. Bhandari, let's address that, and viewers tuning in right now. Gen Z leader has appealed for protesters to leave safely and has gone on to say that this is a protest where many people are now coming in and vested groups are rattling masks. This is what we were talking about here on the broadcast, that this protest is this organized protest. Who is taking charge of it? Does this have any political affiliations whatsoever? Who's driving it? Now, in the wake of those questions, there's a very important update coming in, which is that the Gen Z leader has said, please exit safely and as soon as possible. There are too many vested groups that are rattling the masks, indicating that there may be some potential organizations and groups wanting to extract some potential leverage out of this situation. Please leave safely as soon as possible. We successfully won the day already. Let's get home today safely. All right, that's the big message coming in, that this is now a protest that will hopefully be addressed, simply because the Gen Z leaders say that we have been able to make a point. Our point was against the government, indicating that you cannot go ahead and block all social media because that is crushing freedom of speech, and they have done so successfully, and they now want everyone to go back home. Okay, let's, Mr. Bhandari, now this is a very important fact, which is that the Gen Z leader says that we've made a point, it's now time to exit. So this was really essentially a specific point being made with regard to the social media applications being banned by KP Sharma Oli's government.
Yeah, like if you look at the post from yesterday itself, like they have been saying that they want this protest to be purely Gen Z, like they don't want any other infiltration either from the political parties or either from other groups. So they have been very cautious of that, and this is quite very normal to say like there could be infiltration on how things went up. So and they're very careful about not labeling it through the different political parties. So they want it to be very independent.
So then are we to believe this has now ended? The protest will end soon because they want everybody to now go back and they made their point. Is this going to end soon?
Maybe this could be an end for today because it's like around like 3 o'clock Nepal time out here. Maybe they will be planning something more, because I think the demands and the address they are saying it seems to be quite bigger compared to this. But I think with how things escalated today, and there has been curfew as well, Gauri, like there has been curfew near the parliament, near the Singh Darbar, which is the main government building, near the the residence of Prime Minister, and also the President and Vice President. So I think it's also because of the curfews that have been imposed today in Kathmandu.
And also the fact that several of those barricades were breached. So, which is why if the protesters did manage to breach those barricades, come near the Parliament compound, then several of those measures had to be taken. Mr. Bhatta, then are we then looking at normalcy returning to Nepal very soon? The protesters have made their point and now they want to move on?
We don't know, because it looked very normal till yesterday afternoon, and things were brewing on social media and TikTok and on Reddit, right? So you never know. But I think the youths have a demand. They have a legitimate demand, and they are very strong demands, which also indicate that there are provisions that could also need the change in constitution. Right, one of them was to ask for a directly elected executive, whether it's the prime minister or the president. So we don't know. We don't know as of now. But for today, I think I still hear that the protests are ongoing despite there being a curfew. So there's still reports of some unrest happening as we speak. But let's see how it turns out. So we don't know. It's all up in the air as we speak.
Okay, those are fresh visuals that we are putting out on our screens right now. Viewers tuning in right now, what you see are those visuals from Nepal, where there's been a massive protest by Gen Z. These are youngsters under the age of 28, ostensibly protesting against two things. One is what they see as rampant corruption under the present government, and secondly, the decision taken on the 4th of September by the government to block 26 social media apps. In the wake of that is this protest, which did turn violent, where several of those protesters managed to break the police barricades, following which water cannon was thrown at the protesters to ensure that things do not go out of control. But what you're seeing right now are some very significant visuals on our screens. Student protesters in Nepal on the streets of Kathmandu, and reports coming in of several other cities as well. Even as there are updates coming in of that the Gen Z leader ostensibly says that we've made a point, it's time to exit because vested groups may be taking advantage of these protests. And that's extremely important to point out in the wake of the flux that has become the hallmark of Nepalese politics in the last decade. 4 prime ministers who formed over 10 governments in the last 10 years. That many feel could be the reason for several policy measures to not be fulfilling the aspirations of the youth. Those are live visuals that we are putting out on our screens. Massive protests in Nepal, youth uprising that has stormed Kathmandu, and reports indicating of several organized protests taking place in other cities as well outside Kathmandu. How is the government now going to placate these student leaders? Will there be some sort of a message that will come out from the government side? What will that be? Will those 26 applications now be unblocked, made available to the people? And will that address the fundamental reason why these people came out and protested? Are questions that remain unanswered. Hopefully, we'll try and get you answers to those as early as possible. Mr. Sikshit Bhatta and Rajneesh Bhandari continue to be with us on the broadcast. Now, Rajneesh Bhandari, let me ask you this. As a journalist, what is it that you are picking up from the government in terms of their response right now? Do you see them now going ahead and unblocking those 26 apps, ensuring that at least the big bone of contention gets resolved? Do you see them holding some sort of an emergency meeting to address this? How do you see them playing this out now?
I think that's a great question. Like as we have been covering this issue, like what we see is that definitely there is some meetings ongoing at the moment because this is a huge protest, and there also death and also many people injured. So there will definitely be a meeting between the government and also the coalition partner as well, how they are going to move ahead on this. But looking at this, where they will unblock the social media, it's also we're yet to see. But I think they will somehow likely to address this issue, we're not told anything from the government side, but what we know is they impose the curfew. They want to calm down the situation, and they are putting more security measures to protect the parliament and things. I was right in front of the parliament building, and I could see a lot of protesters, as you see in the visuals as well, going inside and also flagging the Nepal flag.
Rajneesh, let me just address some more breaking inputs coming in on this story, which is that 3 people have now died in these clashes that have taken place in Nepal between the police and what are youth protesters. They may not be all student protesters, but they are all youth protesters, ostensibly protesting against the 4th September order by the Nepal government about blocking 26 social media applications. And they've also gone ahead and said that this is regarding rampant corruption in the present government. Now, that's a very vague, open-ended statement when you talk about corruption-related protests. But this is how things stand right now. Update is that there are 3 people who are now dead due to these clashes, these protests in Nepal. There were reports indicating that the Gen Z leader who is supposed to be behind this in terms of the organization leader has said and in fact told the protesters that they've made their point, it's time to go. But will that happen now? Remains to be seen, because questions have also been raised as to whether it has now been taken over by vested interests. Rajneesh, let me come back to you. Now, updates coming in. There are now 3 people who are dead in these clashes. Clearly, it's not looking that it's going to subside anytime soon.
True, Gauri, definitely 3 dead as of we know, and also more are injured. What we know is more than 80 people. There's a hospital just near the parliament. It's called the Civic Hospital, and there are more than 80 people who are currently undergoing treatment, and it has been a very hectic place at the hospital, and doctors are trying their best to go through all this all these people who are injured, and many are also, others are also in the serious condition. That's what we know. So it seems to be a very, very difficult, and also something loss of 3 people. I think the protesters, when they were protesting, they never thought about this this consequences could happen. We're yet to know about the names of the people who are dead, but this seems to be growing up, Gauri.
Yes, indeed, it seems to be going up. Mr. Bhatta, then let me ask you this, that with the number climbing up, it was 1 till a short while back. It has now climbed to 3 people who are now dead. The casualty figure has climbed up. Do you think that will make the present situation more volatile?
Well, the first thing is that it's really heartbreaking, isn't it, to have protesters being killed, and especially if, God forbid, if the fires have been opened to young people, because from the footages I saw, there were youngsters of 15, 18, 20 years old. There were students in their uniform with their books, and I think if that is the case, then we're setting a very, very wrong precedence, and it's absolutely heartbreaking to have people being shot at and people being killed in this protest. So if that is the case, then I think that it could further escalate.
Which is why we are keeping a very close watch on the situation and the developments in Nepal. Viewers, I'm going to take a very short break, come back on this story, and I urge both Mr. Bhandari and Mr. Bhatta to stay with us. We come back to this big story, the situation, how it's unfolding in Nepal, the volatility, the flux that Nepal is witnessing. We come back on that story. Stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I'm the medical officer of this unit, sir.
Good afternoon. So nice to meet you.
Thank you, sir. Same this side, sir.
So this is the firing range.
Yes, sir. This is our firing range, sir.
You handle weapons, right? I've handled weapons. क्या हम लोग एक तो shooting में we get to handle weapons.
Yes.
They are not real guns, but they are very similar. So the functioning of it is very similar.
आपने training वगैरह?
मैंने training भी ली है और I own a weapon also, licensed weapon. So I've shot in firing ranges in Mumbai and all. I'm a member also there. Wow.
मैम हम ये क्या गन देख रहे हैं?
ये इंसास राइफल है, सर.
So this is Indian made?
Yes.
Wow.
And we'll be firing from sir AK-203.
Okay.
That is Indian made.
That
sir.
is also Indian.
Yes, sir.
Can I look at the bullets?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. This is the bullet of INSA, sir. The bullet will be different for the AK-203, sir.
So I can fire this?
Yes, sir.
But somebody needs to guide me.
जो लिम्बर आपके आदेश पर आप लाइन पोजीशन लेंगे
अच्छा।
और इसके बाद इसको यहाँ पर आप
सपोर्ट लेंगे करेक्ट
लिम्बर में आप लाइन पोजीशन और बाट और खांडे का मिलाप रखते हुए और आप फोरहैंड ग्रिप पर पकड़ते हुए सीज का अलाइनमेंट करें। बर की आदेश पर आप मैगजीन वेट की अंदर पर घुसाना है।
ओके सर हाँ चलिए
फायर लाइन ऑफ हाँ लिम्बर ऑफ फायर भर चलो सामने टारगेट अपना टाइम पर 5 राउंड फायर।
When we say we're standing on a piece of history, I really mean it. We're standing on the Indian Navy's newest warship. She's called INS Udaygiri. And the reason why this is a piece of history is because for the first time, the Indian Navy isn't just inducting this particular ship, but 2 ships of this kind. For the first time ever, 2 big warships are being commissioned into service together. Now, if that isn't history, what is? The Indian Navy, an incredible service, a navy that is respected the world over, welcomes these 2 beautiful ships into service today. And we are so honored, Vishnu and I. How lucky are we to have the commanding officers of both those ships standing with us here today. That's right, on Control All Defense, Captain Robin Chakravarti of INS Himgiri and Captain Vikas Sood of INS Udaygiri, the 2 newest warships.
Viewers, you're watching NDTV and rolling coverage right now on the big story that we are tracking the situation as it's unfolding right now in Nepal. Those are live visuals that we are putting out for you. How situation is looking right now in Kathmandu in Nepal as thousands of protesters, young Nepalis, have marched in the capital demanding that the government lift its ban on the social media platforms and the culture of corruption that they say is now all pervasive in the country. Several social media apps, actually 26 of them, have been inaccessible since the 4th of September order by the government, which left many users angry and confused. Now, waving national flags, Gen Z demonstrators started the protest with the national anthem before unleashing chants against the social media prohibitions and corruption. And updates that are coming in is that 3 people have now lost their lives. 3 people are dead in these clashes between the protesters and the police. They managed to pass several of those key barricades, and which is the reason why there's now curfew that is clamped in several parts of Nepal. Let's get in Sikshit Bhatta, who's joining us live from Kathmandu. He's an entrepreneur watching these developments closely. Now, Mr. Bhatta, as things are unraveling right now, we spoke about the possibility of these protests coming down or in fact ending simply because the Gen Z leaders said that the primary objective of these protests has been met, has been achieved, which is that they had to make a point. But now, with 3 people dead, do you see the possibility of these protests ending anytime soon, or do you think there's going to be more volatility on the streets of Kathmandu?
Well, I think that the first thing is the entire premise of how it's been presented, it has to change. It's not just a protest against the social media ban, even though that fueled the fire. I think there's been a frustration that's been brewing against the governments that have come and gone, and the corruption that has been there, that has been endemic in our country for many decades. So that the protest has been against that. Social media ban had just been the recent development on which the protest was called, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing, of course, is as I speak with you, I was just checking my Twitter feed, and one of the biggest online news agency reports that there have been 4 people that have now been killed.
Okay, so that number may have climbed, even though we are waiting for a formal update on it. The situation remains fluid, which is why we are being responsible.
Yeah, so it's been reported by Online Cover, which is the biggest and the largest media agency, online agency. So what it means is, I think it has been absolutely irresponsible from the part of the government to open fire to youths who've been protesting. And like I said before, there were youngsters from 15 to 18 to 20 years old. There were students in uniform with their genuine concerns, with placards in their hands. So this is absolutely horrific to open fire at the protesters, as the majority of them were from the Gen Z.
Mr. Bhatta,
right?
if you are saying that there were minors in that protest and the government actually shot at minors, I think that's an extremely grave charge.
We don't know,
and one needs to look at it.
I do not know if they were shot at, right? But the protesters also had these young kids who were in their school uniforms. That's what I saw in some of the images.
Okay.
So we don't know if, right? So the protesters had these young people. So
Yes.
so most of the protesters were young.
Mr. Bhatta, stay with
we
me.
do not know.
Mr. Bhatta, stay with me. I have to take a very short break. We come back on this big story, the situation that's unfolding in Nepal, how things are looking right now on ground. Those visuals essentially tell the story. The flux, the turmoil that you see right now on the streets of Kathmandu. We come back and talk more on that after this very short break. Stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Nepal clashes, 3 people killed, army deployed, massive protests over social media ban, corruption and social media ban angers the youth in Nepal. Karnataka Ganpati Utsav violence where tensions during Ganpati immersion, prohibitory orders clamped in Mandya. Congress MP Shashi Tharoor strikes a different chord from his party. Once again, backs the Election Commission survey in Bihar, says annual review of voter list is practical. And face-off over centre versus state funds share. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman claims that DMK has a separatist mindset. DMK hits back, says Tamil Nadu only asking for what is right.
Welcome to my unit. So I'll just brief you through the mechanized platform of the Indian Army we have here.
Sure.
So in mechanized, basically we have armored, mechanized infantry, these two things. So I'll just take you around the equipment also and I'll tell you what is the difference between both also.
Okay. So what is the difference between the tank? What is one is the tank and one is a
BMP.
What is the full form?
It's Boye Machino Picote. It's a Russian term.
Acha, Russian term. Acha.
Yeah. So infantry
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
What seems settled for me is unfinished business. So I rewind, I pause, I reflect, I dig until what's buried stands up to be counted. Breaking ground, not just headlines, the meaning behind them. This is Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Sood.
They argue, I conclude. They deflect, I drill down. This isn't a free-for-all. It's a reckoning. No filler, no fog. Only the facts and where they lead. Every night at 9, the case closes because the buck stops here.
Presenting the all-knowing, all-powerful Tech Guru. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. Let's get you the big stories that we are tracking this Monday afternoon for you. First up, updates coming in from Nepal, where there have been clashes, where 3 people have been killed, and army has been deployed. Massive protests in Nepal over the social media ban. Corruption and the social media ban have angered Nepalese youth, which are now out on the streets. Huge update coming in from the Supreme Court, which it says that Aadhaar must be accepted as the 12th document for the SIR practice and exercise. Supreme Court tells the Election Commission that it must consider Aadhaar as a document for identity of voters in the Bihar SIR and clarifies it's not proof of citizenship. Karnataka Ganpati Utsav violence turns into major tension during the Ganpati immersion, where prohibitory orders have now been imposed in the Mandya district. "24 hours to go for the vice president elections. Ahead of that, BJD says it will abstain from voting in the vice presidential elections. Face-off over centre versus states fund share. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman claims DMK has a separatist mindset. DMK hits back, says Tamil Nadu is now only asking for what is its rightful share. And Congress MP Shashi Tharoor yet again strikes a different chord from his party. Backs the Election Commission survey in Bihar, says annual review of voters list is practical. A huge departure from Rahul Gandhi and his campaign targeting the SIR exercise in Bihar. Starting the show with breaking news coming in as we speak. Supreme Court has wrapped Election Commission over the SIR issue and has said that Aadhaar must be accepted as the 12th document. This comes after many petitioners have challenged and gone to the Supreme Court saying that Aadhaar was not being accepted as a valid document. The Supreme Court has completely clarified on that, saying that Aadhaar is part of RP Act, which is the Representation of People's Act of 1951, which was amended in 2021, and after that Aadhaar now needs to be taken as the 12th document. Let's get in Nupur Dokra, my colleague who tracks the courts very closely for us. Nupur, walk us through the highlights of what the Supreme Court says, and this essentially clears the air completely, doesn't it, with regard to Aadhaar?
Well, yes, Gauri, the Supreme Court in Part 3 orders has reiterated that Aadhaar is in fact a proof of identity. It is not a proof of citizenship, just like the other 11 documents that the Election Commission of India is accepting in this exercise of special intensive revision being carried out in the state of Bihar. Now, the Supreme Court has been, from the day one of this hearing, has been asking Election Commission of India to consider accepting Aadhaar. And in last 3 hearings, it had issued specific orders saying that they should accept Aadhaar as a document to include or exclude people. However, today the top court was told by petitioners, including the political parties, especially the RJD, and they had brought in several affidavits from BLO saying that they were being issued show cause notices from Election Commission of India for accepting Aadhaar. That is, several residents have also come forward saying that their Aadhaar was not being accepted by Election Commission of India. Now, taking all these submissions on record, the Supreme Court has now issued a fourth clarification order saying that Aadhaar is now the 12th document. To make it more clear for the Election Commission of India, it has said that Aadhaar is the 12th document in the for the purpose of exclusion or inclusion from the special intensive revision being carried out in the state of Bihar, and they have to accept Aadhaar as a proof of identity and residence.
All right, let's leave it there. Nupur Dogra, my colleague, filling us in with the very latest as far as that big story coming in from Supreme Court. All right, turning attention now to the other big story that we are tracking on the broadcast, which is the upheaval that one is seeing in Nepal. There is an update coming in. Now, 3 people have been killed in the protests that have taken place and rocked Kathmandu today. Tear gas and water cannons were fired at the protesters after they managed to pass several key barricades and reached very close to the Prime Minister's office and also the Parliament compound. Update coming in that 3 people are now dead in those protests. Thousands marched today in the capital, in Kathmandu, essentially protesting against the 4th of September order by the Nepal government, which blocked 26 social media apps. And beyond that, they were also protesting what they said was rampant corruption in Nepal under the present government. With the numbers climbing up, the death toll climbing up, how will things now unfold? Will this protest die down? Will it finally come under control, or will things remain fluid? Is the question that we are asking. On your screens are those visuals and updates coming in. Let's quickly now play out the soundbite, including of the Nepalese Prime Minister, and also a reaction from the student body that organized this.
नेपालको कानुन मान्नुपर्ने, कुनै विदेशीले कारोबार गर्यो भने कानुन मान्नु नपर्ने, जेनजी पुस्तालाई पिर पर्यो अरे, राम्रो लागेन अरे, जेनजी पुस्ता भन्ने चाहिँ कुनै ठगी खाने भाडो हो?
Protest? Yeah, this is my first time I'm against the corruption.
तपाईले करप्सन भइराछ भनेर चाहिँ कसरी थाहा पाउनु भयो?
अब हेर्नुस्, नेपाल सरकार एकदमै अब झुट झुट नबोल्दिन म, नेपाल एकदमै गरिब देश हो। मान्छेले सरकारले तलब खान्छन् 77,000 75,000, अनि विकली मलदिप्स ट्रिप, युरोप ट्रिप कहाँबाट आइराछ त? हाम्रै ट्याक्स भरेको पैसाबाट। अब यदि त्यो ट्याक्स तिरेको पैसा सही ठाउँमा लगानी भएको भए अहिले हामी भत्केको रोडमा हिँड्नु पर्थ्यो त? यो त्यही भएर करप्सन त भएको छ।
All right, Sabin Dhamala, who's a senior reporter at the news agency Nepal, joins us for an update and to tell us how things are looking right now on ground. Sabin, walk us through the latest updates that we are getting. It seems that the death number and the death toll has actually climbed up to 3 right now. Tell us what's really happening on ground.
धन्यवाद गौरी जी। फिलहाल मैं ग्राउंड पे तो नहीं हूँ, अभी आया ग्राउंड से, क्योंकि वहाँ कर्फ्यू लगाई गई है। फिर भी प्रोटेस्ट जारी है। वहाँ 4 लोगों को मौत हो गई है और इसका संख्या बढ़ने वाली है। जो हालात वहाँ पे है अभी वो बयां करना मुश्किल है। फिर भी देखो, हाल मैं आपको बताता हूँ कि सप्ताह पहले नेपाल गवर्नमेंट ने इस सोशल मीडिया को बैन किया। वो अपने कानून के तहत आने के लिए बहुत बार उन्होंने न्योता भी दिया, वो आग्रह भी किया। तो उस दरमियान चाहे फेसबुक हो या मेटा ग्रुप का कोई भी नहीं आया। तो 26 ऐसे सोशल साइट थे वो बैन हो गए। इसी के चलते यहाँ एक असंतुष्टि और एक यहाँ का नाराजगी तो पहले से ही था, लेकिन ये सोशल मीडिया बैन होने पे उसको आग में घी जैसे हो गया। तो ये 8 सितंबर का एक जेनजी पुस्ता जो बोलते हैं जेनजी ग्रुप ने एक प्रोटेस्ट का ऐलान किया। धीरे धीरे करके ये काठमांडू में था और देश के अन्य शहरों में भी इस तरह का प्रोटेस्ट हुआ है और वहाँ मुठभेड़ भी हुआ है। अभी तक काठमांडू के बाहर से कोई उसका मृत्यु का या कोई जघन ने जो दुर्घटना कहा उसका अभी तक समाचार तो नहीं आया है, लेकिन वो आने वाली है। जहां दमक जो ईस्टर्न पार्ट ऑफ नेपाल है, वहां भी एक मुठभेड़, गहरी मुठभेड़ हो गई है। इसी तरह पोखरा में और बुटोल में इस तरह का मुठभेड़ हो गई है, वहां भी ये अनहोनी हो सकता है। लेकिन काठमांडू में, क्योंकि ये राजधानी भी है, उस हिसाब से देखे जाए तो यहाँ और तादाद और संख्या और नाराजगी, क्योंकि ये सेंट्रलाइज हो गया है, तो यहाँ बढ़ रही है। तो प्रोटेस्टर ने जो नेपाल के संसद के आगे का जो मेन 3 गेट था उसको तोड़ के भीतर भी गए थे। आज ही नेशनल असेंबली का सेशन भी था, उसको स्थगित कराया गया और वहाँ से जो 100 से बड़ी ज़्यादा जितने भी प्रोटेस्टर थे उसको पुलिस ने निकाल दिया और उसके बाहर आके आगजनी और तोड़फोड़ में उतर गए। हालांकि अभी यहाँ कर्फ्यू 5 जगह पे, काठमांडू में 5 जगह पे कर्फ्यू जारी है। अभी कर्फ्यू लगाई गई है। अब थोड़ा थोड़ा करके देखते हैं, ये माहौल शांत होने वाली है, लेकिन फिलहाल अभी तक तो माहौल वही है।
Till now, the situation remains in fact, it's quite tense, and curfew has now been extended to several other areas in Kathmandu, and that of course includes many of the restricted parts. Ashika Podal, who is the Central Committee member of the National Students Union of Nepali Congress, joins us on the broadcast. Ashika, how do you see the situation right now on ground? You are a member of one of the political parties' student union wing. How do you see the situation right now on ground? Have the protesters seen their demands being met?
Hello. So the situation here is very worse. Nepal has been facing economic crisis since the COVID, and the youths are facing unemployment and various economic issues. And they had been raising those issues through digital platform, through digital activism. But after the government's ban on social media, the youth have chosen the street to raise their voice. And I had heard just some minutes ago that one guy has died on the street, one protester has died, and the tensions are very much escalated. Everything is closed, there's curfew, and the protesters have been found to violate some laws of the parliament, because the outside territory of parliament has been broken. The walls of the parliament has been broken by the protesters, and one has been found dead, and some of them are injured, and the police has announced a curfew, and the tension is very high. And I am living around the area of parliament, and the whole day has been very unpeaceful. It has been very scary. That's the situation right now, and I don't think the youths are able to give their voice, because the government has been escalating so much tension. They have fired the guns and some gases, and it's very, very heart-wrenching to see the situation of the youth.
Ashika, how many students and how many youth had actually come out on the streets in Kathmandu? Do you have any figures?
No.
Do you know the number of places where protests were taking place?
Yes. So there's no such number, but it was found that the protest was escalated here in the capital city Kathmandu, as well as some major cities like Dang, Rupandei and Pokhara. But majorly it was done in Kathmandu's Maitigar.
The fact that the primary demand was that the 26 apps were blocked, and the second demand or second reason for them to start the protest is that there was corruption, and they feel there's huge corruption in the government. Now, do you see that the government will respond to either of these demands, either of these core concerns that the students and these youth wing leaders have?
So the corruption is very high, there's no doubt, but the social media ban was for the it wasn't for a bad purpose, because the social media apps that are running here in Nepal aren't registered. So Nepal government wanted them to register, but the goal was to register social media, but the youth turned they don't directions. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
The government didn't had such bad intention. The government didn't wanted to. The government had always protected the freedom of expression of Nepalese people because the constitution also grants the freedom of expression. But the youth are frustrated because there's a huge corruption, there's huge inequalities. Almost 3,600 Nepalese people have to leave Nepal every day for foreign employment and foreign studies. So after the ban of social media, the tensions rised. The youth didn't find any platform to talk about their frustrations. Before they had some apps, they used YouTube, they used Facebook to pour their frustration. But after the ban, they were very much frustrated. They had no any plans, so they went on the streets and they have been protesting after that.
Ashika, I'm going to ask you this question regarding the politics of it and whether there's been any politics involved in it. And I'll tell you why. Because a Gen Z leader put out this message saying that our goals have been achieved and now vested interests are taking over. Do you think this is now being a protest that was essentially about the youth of Nepal is being
Yes.
picked up by the politics, by the political parties of Nepal?
So, firstly, it wasn't a political party's rally or something. It was an independent youth movement. But there's something about protest and something about violences that the opposition always takes its credits. The opposition always tries to take credit of such protesters. So I don't think Gen Zs have been involved in politics or some kind of conspiracy. There's nothing like such. They are just frustrated. They're just frustrated of the unemployment and the economic crisis.
There's an update that's come in, and let's put that out for our viewers right now. Breaking news coming in, breaking updates coming in, which is that now 8 people are dead and over 100 are injured in this protest. That's you are seeing on the streets in Kathmandu in Nepal, where 8 of those protesters maybe are now dead and 100 people are now injured. Let's also now rope in Mohammad Ghazali, my colleague who tracks the MEA very closely for us. Now, Ghazali, India is also watching this very closely. Nepal has seen a lot of instability in the last couple of years. There were also protests that were pro-monarch that took place a couple of months back in Nepal. So there's been a sense of political instability that New Delhi has been keeping a very close watch on when it comes to Kathmandu, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of deja vu also, because we have seen that happening in not just in Nepal, but regime change in our neighborhood. And what India's policy has always been is to not react in haste. We saw what happened in Bangladesh, another neighborhood where the similar kind of protest against the ruler there, against the prime minister there, and then that completely changed and became an anti-India protest on the street targeting minorities there. So here in this particular case, what India has done now is that the security has been beefed across India-Nepal border, the land border there, and the External Affairs Ministry and the government is also keeping an eye on Indians who are residing there in Nepal. They don't want to let it have the same kind of direction with what we saw or experienced in Bangladesh. Situation is very serious right now, as we are reporting that 8 people have been killed in the protests there after the police action, and curfew has now been imposed not just in Kathmandu, which has been extended till 10 p.m. tonight, but it has also been imposed in different areas in other cities as well. The Prime Minister's appeal has not yet generated the kind of response which he was expecting it to be. The youths have joined the protest. Police action, the ban on social media has all kind of escalated the situation on ground in Nepal's capital Kathmandu and other adjoining areas.
Right, we leave it there. Mohammad Ghazali, my colleague, filling us in with how New Delhi is now watching this very carefully. Now, viewers tuning in right now, as Ghazali was also pointing out, in the neighborhood in India, and what NDTV has been speaking about for ever since this news came out about Nepal, that there has been a student-led protest that took place in our neighborhood in Bangladesh last year. It started out with a protest led by the students and then quickly engulfed into a completely different movement. Having said that, no parallels are being drawn here between Nepal and Bangladesh. when it comes to Nepal, what you're seeing right now is that the trigger for these protests was the 4th of September order. Now, Sabin Dhamala and Ashika, let me come back to both of you to really get a sense of how things are looking. Ashika, before I come to you, let me take a quick update from Sabin to in terms of the numbers that have climbed up. The death toll, it has now climbed up to 8, with 100 people now being injured. Sabin, बताइए इस वक्त स्थिति क्या है? 8 लोगों की अब तक की डेथ की खबर आ रही है. सिचुएशन इस वक्त कैसी लग रही है ग्राउंड पर?
गौरी जी, सिचुएशन हर मिनट ये गहरा और बदतर होते जा रही है। हालांकि अभी गृह मंत्रालय में आकस्मिक रूप में सुरक्षा समिति की बैठक बुलाई गई है, अभी वो बैठक जारी है। ये कर्फ्यू और भी जगह, अभी तो 5 जगह पे काठमांडू में कर्फ्यू लगाई गई है और भी जगह बढ़ने वाली है, ऐसी अनुमान है। और ये डेथ टोल आई है, अभी तक 8 लोगों की जान गई है, वो बढ़ने वाली है। और जो इंजर्ड है, घायते है, जो उसका भी नंबर बढ़ने वाला है, क्योंकि अभी तो जो नजदीक में अस्पताल था वहां का रिपोर्ट के हिसाब से मोर देन 100 का नंबर बताई जा रही है, और वो अस्पताल में भी है इंजर्ड। और उसके बाद आकस्मिक रूप में मंत्री कैबिनेट मीटिंग भी बुलाई गई है, और वो देखते हैं उसके बाद क्या होगा। लेकिन जो 10 मिनट पहले मैं आपसे बात कर रहा था, उस टाइम और इस टाइम में बहुत अंतर हो रही है, क्योंकि जिस मकान पे मैं रह रहा हूँ वहाँ के बहुत अच्छी तरह से सुनाई दे रही है कि जहाँ पार्लियामेंट के आगे जहाँ प्रोटेस्ट का केंद्र है वहाँ गोली की आवाज सुनाई दे रही है। तो इसीलिए मैं अनुमान, क्योंकि मैं थोड़ी देर पहले ऑफिस आ गया था, ये अनुमान है कि वहाँ अभी तक गोलीबारी है। वो रबर की गोली है या सच मायने में जो गोली चल रही है वो मैं बता नहीं सकता, लेकिन आवाज सुनाई दे रही है। तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि जो हालत पहले था उससे भी ज्यादा और गंभीर हो गई है।
स्थिति नियंत्रण में नहीं है अभी, इस वक्त यही लग रहा है। Then as we talk about how things are unfolding, Ashika, the other thing I want to ask is that what about how do you think this situation will now be brought under control? Apart from the political differences that that Nepali Congress has with the KP Sharma Oli's party, how do you see these demands of the protesters and, more importantly, situation being brought back to normal?
So there might be differences between Nepali Congress Party and KP Sharma Oli's parties, but Nepali Congress Party has always uplifted the freedom of expression. And the protest is also about freedom of expression of the youth's frustrations. Even though the protest has escalated and so almost 8 people have died and injured, but I think the government will try its effort to make the protesters to fulfill their demands. The ban on social media might be again it might be unbanned, or the apps might be registered here in Nepal, because the problem here is the apps haven't registered here in Nepal. The banning is because of unregistration of the app. So the Facebook has contacted, and other social media has also contacted the Nepalese government. They might register, and after that many such the voices raised might be heard by government. It's not that Nepalese government haven't heard anything about the youth. It's just that there's age differences, because the leaders are very old, and the huge population of Nepalese is youth. So there's a communication gap. So the communication gap has led to such frustration. So I hope the government takes such actions and thinks about the future of the country.
Do you think if these apps are unblocked, situation will come back to normal, or do you think there's more than that?
I think it might be a starting of the situation being normal, but only on banning the app or making the app register is not the permanent solution. The permanent solution is rebuilding the economy and providing employment, which is the major issue of Nepalese youth today.
ओके सबीन जी, आपसे भी यही पूछूंगी कि अगर ऐप्स अनब्लॉक हो जाते हैं तो क्या स्थिति नियंत्रण में आ जाएगी?
नहीं गौरी, ये मसला नहीं है। ये जो नाराजगी थे, जो असंतुष्टियां थी, वो धीरे धीरे करके बढ़ रही थी। जो ऐप का बैन होने पे उसमें आग फूकी गई है। लेकिन ऐप बंद होने या खुलने से वो अब बंद होने वाली नहीं है, क्योंकि ऐप तो एक डिसीजन हो जाएगा, कैबिनेट डिसीजन कर देगी तो ऐप तो खुल जाएगा, लेकिन जो असंतुष्टियां और नाराजगी है वो उसका भरपाई अर्थात उसका संबोधन तो नहीं होगा।
Okay, so
तो
the situation...
ये अब खुलने वाली नहीं है, मेरा अनुमान है, लेकिन एक पत्रकार होने के नाते से उसका विचार तो नहीं जानना चाहिए, मैं अपडेट के लिए तैयार हुआ हूँ। फिर भी मेरा अनुमान ये है कि अब ये आंदोलन, ये मूवमेंट सोशल मीडिया का बैन खुले या ना खुले, छोटी ही सही, अगर सरकार उसको दबा देगी, कोई कोने में जाके उभर जाएगा, लेकिन अब ये दबने वाला नहीं है। 1-2 महीना दब जाएगी, फिर ये उठने वाला है, क्योंकि इसका जो बेस है ये ऐप से जुड़ी हुई नहीं है। यहाँ का करप्शन, नेपोटिज्म और बहुत सारे ऐसे चीज़ें उनको सड़क में लेके आई है। वो ऐप बंद होने और खुलने और ऐप के जरिए वो संबोधन होने की बात नहीं है।
Okay, that's a very important point you are making, that the app ban may be the trigger, but the underlying situation now needs more than just unblocking of the apps for things to come back to normal. That's a very significant point that you are making, which is that the situation may take more time before it actually comes back to normalcy. All right, I'm shifting focus now away from how things are unfolding in Nepal to another very important story that's coming in ahead of the vice president elections, where numbers are stacked in favor of the NDA. A day to go, 24 hours before the vice president polls, and breaking news coming in on that, which is that BJD is also set to abstain. My colleague Vasudha Venugopal joins us for more on this. Vasudha, after BRS, it now looks like BJD is also set to abstain from these elections.
That's right, Gauri. After BRS decided to boycott or abstain from the elections, now it's the BJD which has also announced that it will also be abstaining from this vote, and this really would actually be of advantage to the NDA candidate CP Radhakrishnan. Also because the opposition was hoping to get these neutral MPs on their side, and Sudarshan Reddy specifically has been reaching out to all southern MPs. In fact, the parties have also reached out to a lot of people. Revanth Reddy, the Telangana Chief Minister, specifically reached out to MIM Chief Asaduddin Owaisi, but clearly certain things don't seem to have worked out. BJD and BRS have made the decision want to be seen as supporting the BJP, that really has emerged as a rival, and in fact has also trounced them in Odisha. But they also don't want to be supporting the opposition candidate. So there's no change in that position as well. But clearly what is important to understand is that more than the strength of numbers, it is both parties trying to have coordination strategies to ensure that nobody really cross-votes or nobody really, is an absentee when it comes to voting. So I was at the TDP meeting, just a short while ago. Prahlad Joshi, Senior Minister, was there. He spoke to TDP MPs. Every minister, Gauri, has been given in charge of certain states, like Manoj Lal Khattar is speaking to MPs from Haryana, Punjab. Bhupendra Yadav is speaking to MPs from Bihar and Maharashtra. Similarly, Kiran Rijiju is speaking to MPs from Northeast. Similarly, you also had the opposition meetings where Jairam Ramesh actually detailed the strategy of how to go about voting. So clearly both sides here wanting to ensure that they get their numbers when it comes to their own candidates.
All right, Vasudha, there's more breaking news coming in. Stay with us. Let's quickly address that as well. Prime Minister Modi will cast his vote at 10 a.m. Tomorrow, along with Punjab and Himachal Pradesh MPs. The PM will be the first voter for the vice presidential polls. The elections that will take place tomorrow, and Kiran Rijiju and several others will be made polling agents for these elections. Let's go back to Vasudha for more updates and perspective on this, but I believe we also have Aishwarya Jain with us on the broadcast. Aishwarya, to you first, fill us in with the details that you have.
Well, on one side, at the Central Hall in the old Parliament, the opposition MPs of the India bloc have gathered, and there is a training session which is going on. Tomorrow, there is a vice presidential polls, and the India bloc also, the senior leaders from the India bloc trying to reach out to the independent MPs, of those particularly who had not yet decided as to where their vote will swing towards. And on the other side, it is the day 2 of the workshop that has been organized by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Prime Minister will be addressing the NDA MPs at around 4 p.m. Before that, early up in the morning, there were different political parties, be it the JDU, TDP and the JDS, all had their own parliamentary party meetings, and the senior leaders from the Bharatiya Janata Party went to the alliance members of the NDA, gave them training about how to go ahead before the vice presidential polls, and certainly it will be tomorrow, up early in the morning. Prime Minister will be casting his vote. He would be one of the first voters to cast the vote for the vice presidential poll. The sources have also told us that followed by Prime Minister, it will be the MPs from Himachal Pradesh and Punjab, and later on the voting will take place. Kiran Rijiju, Ram Mohan Naidu and Shrikant Shinde had been made as the polling agent for the NDA, and they will be taking care of the entire election process, as the NDA clearly wants every MP to cast their vote in favor of CP Radhakrishnan.
Stay with us, Aishwarya. Let's quickly tell our viewers in terms of the vice presidential elections. 24 hours to go. The NDA is intensifying efforts to secure victory for its candidate, Dr. CP Radhakrishnan, against the opposition's Sudarshan Reddy. The BJP is conducting a voting workshop in Parliament to strategize and ensure a smooth win, leaving nothing to chance. NDA allies are rallying their MPs in Delhi for key meetings and practice sessions to consolidate their support. And confident in their numerical strength, the NDA is focused on maintaining unity and discipline amongst its ranks. And in fact, the numbers are in favor of the NDA. Aishwarya, the numbers are completely in favor of the NDA candidate, but still they are not leaving anything to chance.
Well, that's right. The numbers are stacked up with the NDA, as the BRS and the BJD have decided to remain abstain from tomorrow's vice presidential poll. So the number have come down to 770. The halfway majority mark remains at 336, and the NDA is well above that majority mark. But still, the NDA wants to make sure that every vote of the MPs are casted in a right way, and therefore the reason perhaps these training sessions are being organized for the first time. MPs who are casting the vote for vice presidential polls for the very first time. Several MPs in the NDA bloc who have been given training have told us that there is a special process that involves no one can take in their mobile phones or their own pen to the polling station at the Rajya Sabha Secretariat in the Parliament. There are particular boxes in front of both the candidates. There is a straight line that should be drawn, and there should be no ink drop or a pinpoint at any of the section of any of the paper where they will be casting that vote. So minute to minute details are being told to these MPs who will be casting vote for the very first time, and certainly the Bharatiya Janata Party and their alliance members are very confident. In fact, some of the MPs even went on to say that they are very confident, and there could be a possibility of cross voting from the India bloc MPs as well, because the kind of candidate that the NDA have picked is is a potential one, and many believe that he would be right person just because there could not be any whip that can be issued in the vice presidential polls. There can be cross voting, there can be certain votes that can be rejected as well by the polling officer. So all of those are kept in mind, and a very strategic training sessions are being organized for all the NDA allies. On one side, the India bloc giving training to their MPs, on the other, the NDA also giving training to their MPs as well. It remains to be seen that how many numbers beyond that majority mark goes in favor of CP Radhakrishnan, because the NDA numbers are stacked already with them.
All right, let's leave it there. Rishwaraj and my colleague bringing us all those details. Now, as these elections loom, the opposition is gearing up for a fierce contest against the NDA's Dr. CP Radhakrishnan. A crucial meeting in Delhi saw opposition leaders strategizing and reaching out to AIMIM's Asaduddin Owaisi for support, though BRS has opted to abstain from voting. And despite the NDA's numerical strength and advantage, the opposition is rallying behind its candidate, Sudarshan Reddy, who urged Member of Parliament to vote for India and not for their party. The Indy bloc will hold a mock polling session for its MPs. Listen into some reactions that are coming in, including, in fact, also an appeal from their candidate.
Honorable members, I seek your support, not for myself, but for the values that define us as a sovereign democratic republic. In this election, there is no party whip, and the ballot is secret. It is not loyalty to any political party, but love for the country that must guide your choice.
देश के सोल को बचाने के लिए मुझे वोट दें, ये है उनका कमेंट जो अखबार में आया है और उन्होंने वीडियो रिलीज किया है। और ये देखिए, देश के सोल को बचाने के लिए वो किससे मिल रहे हैं? लालू प्रसाद से। लालू प्रसाद फॉर्डर स्कैम में कन्विक्टेड हैं। आप किस तरह के रिटायर्ड सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जज हैं? जो व्यक्ति कन्विक्टेड है किसमें? स्कैम में, करप्शन में। जो व्यक्ति कन्विक्टेड है स्कैम और करप्शन में, आप जाके उनसे मिलते हैं।
कौन है ये बीजेपी में महानुभाव?
रविशंकर प्रसाद ने सवाल किया।
हाँ, रविशंकर जी कितनी बार मिलने जाते हैं मैं बताऊं? सुशील मोदी जी की कितनी मुलाकात होती थी? अभी के कितने मंत्री और प्रधानमंत्री जी किन किन मंचों पे मिले हैं? मतलब कुछ तो शालीनता रखिए बरकरार रविशंकर जी। यू आर डेस्परेट टू बिकम अ मिनिस्टर वंस अगेन। आप जिस व्यक्ति के बारे में टिप्पणी कर रहे हैं ना, उस व्यक्ति ने बिहार का सत्ता समीकरण बदल दिया। हाँ, उसको थोड़ा ध्यान में रखिए, आईना सामने रखा कीजिए। इस तरह की ओछी अशोभनीय टिप्पणियों के लिए कम से कम बिहार में कोई जगह नहीं। चिंता करिए इस बात की।
All right, BJP has attacked the Indy bloc over vice presidential elections. The BJP has said, why did their candidate, which is Sudarshan Reddy, meet Lalu Prasad Yadav, who said that Lalu Prasad Yadav is not an MP and does not have a vote. Instead, he's a fodder scam convict. BJP has said that this is a shocking statement that has come in on probity. All right, on that note, a quick break. We return with more stories on the other side. Stay with us.
We're the only country with such a large population of youth and yuva.
Pure talent और कुछ नहीं है।
बुलाने वाला फ्यूचर काफी अच्छा है स्पोर्ट्स का।
Luck, patience and a lot of tolerance.
life can change overnight.
जीवन में मैंने कोशिश की है सदैव चुनौती को अपनाने की।
We need to work towards an egalitarian society, regardless of gender and orientation.
Before we began this episode, Vishnu was walking around this gun right now and having a really good time. Vishnu, the weapons. Let's talk about the weapons right now.
No, I think the weapons are absolutely incredible. And Commodore, why don't you come in on this? This is an upgraded gun mount. Eventually, all of the ships of this class will have this upgraded gun mount. She carries BrahMos missiles, MR SAMs as well. How does this represent one of the most formidable capabilities for ships of this class, not just in the region, but anywhere in the world?
So Vishnu, I would like to highlight one very important aspect in this class of ships, and that is the indigenous fire punch that we pack with us. Yeah. So weapons, sensors are very complex systems, and very few countries across the world have this capability to have very potent and very credible weapon and sensor package. So what the P-17 Alpha class of ship gets to the table is the fact that the larger majority of our weapons are indigenous. They are built, designed and operated and maintained thereafter throughout their life cycle by the companies and the wherewithal of India. And that's a really proud moment for us to have this opportunity and this capability with us that today we showcase. So if we take this, the Super Rapid gun mount, which is there in front of us, an amazingly formidable weapon capable of deploying ammunition across multi-domains for multi-role, multi-tasks. So the SRGM is one of the best weapons in the world, and we proudly host this on board our class of ship. Addition to this is also the BrahMos, which you spoke of. It's proven its mettle, its battle worthiness, and we feel amazingly proud to be today here having this capability with us. Again, an indigenous capability. What you see thereafter is also the...
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Prime Minister Modi puts out a message on X, says birthday wishes to Union Minister Shri Giriraj Singh Ji. His efforts to boost India's textile sector are commendable, particularly the focus on innovation and encouraging local talent. May he lead a long and healthy life. More breaking news coming in on the broadcast. This is regarding the Hazratbal Shrine vandalism row, where Congress MP has come out with a shocking remark. Congress MP Tariq Anwar has said that what's done is done. This is the hua to hua remark once again by the Congress. This is the Congress mindset, the hua to hua comment, where he has said no action needed against extremists. This comes a day after that vandalism, that video that we saw of the emblem being vandalized and tarnished in an attack that many left questioning why exactly should this not be penalized. And now you have the Congress MP Tariq Anwar saying that this is something that if it's done, it's done. Now that's a shocking comment that's coming from the Congress Member of Parliament, says that no action needed against extremists.
वो राष्ट्रीय प्रतीक लगाना गलत है, अगर तो भी जो तरीका था कट्टरपंथियों का, क्या उसकी आप निंदा करेंगे, कार्रवाई की मांग करेंगे?
हाँ, नहीं, कार्रवाई की कोई मांग नहीं करेंगे। हमारा इतना ही कहना है कि जो था वो गलत था, और उसको जो है उमर अब्दुल्ला साहब का बयान बहुत साफ है, स्पष्ट है कि किसी भी धार्मिक स्थल पर अशोक चक्र नहीं होता है।
लेकिन जिन्होंने सर इस तरीके से किया उस पर उन पर कार्रवाई नहीं होनी चाहिए?
कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, अब कर दिया तो कर दिया।
All right, let's get in a reaction to this from Pradeep Bhandari, national spokesperson of the BJP, who joins me on the phone line. Pradeep, your reaction to that comment that's come in from Tariq Anwar, where he has said what's happened has happened.
Well, Gauri, this is the hua to hua mindset of the Congress party and of Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi in particular, where they instruct their member of parliaments to back the extremists and any extremist act. This also exposes the anti-national mindset of the Congress party, because if a national emblem has been destroyed and if a national emblem at any place in this country has been attacked, this act reflects an anti-national mindset. This also tells you that the Congress party in Jammu and Kashmir in the last 60-70 years, when they were in power, they backed the extremist elements, justifying this. This yet again has proven that the Congress party stands with extremists, stands with separatists, and in essence is anti-national and will back any anti-national act as a hua to hua movement and a normal act.
How do you see this now going forward in the wake of these comments that have come in from Tariq Anwar, almost normalizing that kind of vandalism that has actually scarred many?
Well, this is the mindset of the Congress party. We have been saying that the Congress party is a tukde gang party. It will eulogize and back individuals who take an anti-national line or will back a mob which will deface a national emblem. Rahul Gandhi, this is not an isolated statement. This is exactly happening on the instruction of Rahul Gandhi. So whether it is not taking strong stands against terrorists, whether it is not speaking against extremists, Congress party today has been a fringe organization which only backs extremists, whether ideologically, through soft support, or terrorists by not acting against them.
And finally, Pradeep, I want to ask you this. The Ashok Chakra, the Ashok emblem being vandalized has shocked Indians across the country. And this kind of comment further fuels anger. What will the BJP do next after this comment?
Well, we'll be taking this to the people of the country across. We will be taking it to the court of the public opinion, and we will further bring it in front of the people that how Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who speaks himself to be the leader of opposition, has become the leader of the fringe.
All right, we leave it there. Pradeep Bhandari, national spokesperson of the BJP, joining me on that comment that's come in from the Congress MP Tariq Anwar, who's come out and said that this vandalism which has happened, almost normalizing that vandalism that has shocked many. All right, on that note, a quick break. More stories return on the other side. Stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
हम नेक्स्ट जनरेशन जीएसटी रिफॉर्म्स लेकर के आ रहे हैं ये दिवाली के अंदर.
I think it will have a very positive impact on the GDP.
A landmark reform, a new economic chapter, a nation rising together. NDTV Profit presents the GST Conclave with Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, policymakers and industry leaders reflecting on GST 2.0 and charting the road ahead. NDTV Profit GST Conclave, reforms for a resurgent India. 9 September, 3 p.m. onwards on NDTV 24/7.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम. रबर ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा.
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसा हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है.
मैडम एक बात, खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ. कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
Let's get you more breaking news that's coming in as we speak regarding the Karnataka Ganpati Utsav violence, where the BJP has now called for a bandh tomorrow in Mattur district and has said that this is over the Mandya violence that took place, even as Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has said that 21 people have already been arrested and mild lathi charge was done by the police. BJP has hit back saying, why no preventive action done by the Karnataka government? And in the wake of that, BJP has now called for a bandh in the district tomorrow. This comes after the stone pelting incidents that came out and led to a clash after the Ganesh Visarjan proceedings were underway. Let's quickly now listen in to some reactions coming in on this story.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಸೀದಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಮೆರವಣಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಲಘು ಲಾಠಿ ಪ್ರಹಾರ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ನವರು. ಯಾಕಂತಂದರೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ನವರು ಮಾತ್ರ ನೀವು ನಿಲ್ಬೇಡಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರು. ಗುಂಪು ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಲಘು ಲಾಠಿ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸುಮಾರು 21 ಜನ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೆ.
ತಪ್ಪಿತಸ್ಥರ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಯಾರು ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಹಿಂದೂಗಳು ಮಾಡಲಿ, ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನರು ಮಾಡಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾರೇ ಮಾಡಲಿ, ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾನೂನು ರೀತಿಯ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ನಡೆದಿಲ್ಲ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ, ಮದ್ದೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂಗಾಗಿದೆ.
What is this nonsense it is happening? And they are pelting stones from a religious structure, from a masjid. Why can't state government instruct the police to take preventive action?
कल मंड्या में गणेश चतुर्थी का गणपति का प्रोसेशन चल रहा था. कई लोग पत्थर फेंके एंड हमारा ध्वज को अपमान किया, गणेश को अपमान किया. लास्ट ईयर भी, पिछले साल भी यही मंड्या में नागमंगला में हुआ था. ये साल कल मद्दूर में, मंड्या जिला का मंदूर में हुआ. सरकार हिंदुओं को दमन करने का, हिंदू भावनाओं को दमन करने का काम कर्नाटका में कर रहा है. मैं इसको विरोध करती हूँ. एंड तुरंत ही कौन कल पत्थर फेंका, गणेश को अपमान किया, प्रोसेशन में बाधा डाला, उसको तुरंत ही अरेस्ट करना, कार्रवाई करना. नहीं तो ऐसा एक माहौल है कर्नाटका में, हम बच नहीं सकते.
An incident has happened in Mandya, Maddur. Some sort of a stone pelting, all that. That is it is now controlled. Police have already arrested few people and everything is under control. They have also capped section 144 also. Everything under control.
Viewers, slipping into a very short break. I come back with more news on the other side. Stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks,
pick?
Do I buy Ola?
Should I
or
hold CDSL for the long term? Buy, sell or hold?
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Now the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves and Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash. Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edappadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players and this is going to be the ultimate test.
ब्रेकिंग न्यूज का जमाना है, सबको तिल का ताड़ और राई का पहाड़ बनाना है। ऐसे में जनता के जूते के अंदर फंसा कंकड़ कौन देखे? बड़े बड़े मुद्दों के शोर में जमीन से जुड़े मुद्दे अक्सर खो जाते हैं, लेकिन देश तरक्की तब करता है जब जनता के माथे की शिकन हमारी हेडलाइंस बनती है। मैं सैयद सुहेल भारत को जीता हूं, भारत की बात बताता हूं। एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I
or
hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold?
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Turning attention now to the big international story we're tracking on the show. US President Donald Trump says he's ready for second phase of sanctions against Russia. The move is being seen by experts as a failure of the Alaska summit last month. Donald Trump has repeatedly threatened Moscow with further sanctions, but withheld them as he pursued possible diplomatic options. Experts say Trump has been frustrated as there is no halt to the fighting in Ukraine after he initially predicted he would be able to end the war swiftly when he took office in January. Listen in to what the president had to say.
Are you ready to move to the second phase of sanctions against Russia or punishing Putin?
How was your call with the Prime Minister of Australia?
Are you ready to move to the second phase of sanctions against Russia or punishing Putin?
How was your call with the Prime Minister of Australia?
So, no, I am not thrilled with what's happening there, I will tell you. I think it's going to get settled. So I settled 7 wars. This, I would have said, would have been maybe the easiest one to settle of all. But with war, you never know what you're getting. But we're going to get it, I believe we're going to get it settled. But I am not happy with them. I'm not happy with anything having to do with that war. It's just such a waste of great humanity.
Well, that isn't the last we've heard as far as Donald Trump is concerned and his flip-flop regarding sanctions. But what you can be certain is that NDTV will keep getting you all those details first up. But with that, it's a wrap on the show. Thanks so much for watching. News and updates continue on the other side.
We see the problems, but you as a social entrepreneur see the solutions. You are not just creating solution, you are creating a future where everyone has a chance to thrive. For the change makers, the innovators, the ones building a better world, one solution at a time. The Adani Green Talk Social Impact Awards are created for you. Green Talk Social Impact Awards 2025, coming soon.
we'll go in a bulletproof vehicle, which is a make in India bulletproof vehicle.
अच्छा ये हिंदुस्तान में बनी?
जी आइए तो आपको लेके चलते हैं।
आइए चलिए। तो ये महिंद्रा की गाड़ी है?
जी सर।
और बुलेट प्रूफ है पूरी तरह से? कितने mm की बुलेट रोकती है
ये? 7.62 mm की।
7.62 तक रोक देती है?
जी।
और बॉम्ब प्रूफ भी है नीचे कुछ? माइन वाइन हुआ तो?
माइन के लिए स्टील प्लेट
है नीचे।
So like you were talking about, ये anti-terror operation में forward post में it's a life saving.
Yeah, it's very important thing. So it's wonderful कि अब हम ये सारी equipment ये हिंदुस्तान में बन रहा है।
वेलकम मिस्टर राव,
थैंक यू
वेलकम। ये हमारी अमर ट्रेनिंग नोड है। अमर मींस आर्मी मार्शल आर्ट्स रूटीन।
ओके, आर्मी मार्शल आर्ट्स।
अनआर्म्ड कॉम्बैट, जब भी कभी हमारे पास कोई हथियार ना हो तो हैंड टू हैंड फाइट में
गन नहीं हो। हाँ
आइए आपको
जी दिखाइए।
सबसे पहले नाइफ की फाइटिंग दिखाएंगे कि अगर नाइफ के साथ फाइटिंग है, हमारे पास वेपन नहीं है, राइफल नहीं है तो हमारे पास नाइफ हो सकता है। फिर हो सकता है कि हमारे पास कभी संतरी हमें साइलेंट करने पड़ते हैं कि कई बार कुछ होता है, हमें कहीं पे रेड प्लान करनी है, कोई ऐसा ऑपरेशन जाना है, दुश्मन के पास वेपन है, हमारे पास नहीं है, जहाँ हमें साइलेंटली किसी के ऊपर अटैक करना है तो वो चीज़, दुश्मन के पास राइफल है, हमारे पास नहीं है, फिर उसको कैसे टैकल करना है, उस चीज़ का आपको
दिखाइए। ये लेफ्ट का हाथ यहाँ क्यों होता है?
लेफ्ट का हमारी डिफेंस के लिए होता है।
अच्छा, डिफेंस के लिए।
ओनली कि हम वी आर अटैकिंग एट समवन कैन हिट अस।
One hand is defending
we use for defense and with the other we attack.
Right.
A massive protest over social media ban in Nepal. 9 people have died. Army has now been deployed. Supreme Court asks the Election Commission to consider Aadhaar as document for identity of voter in Bihar. SIR clarifies it's not proof of citizenship. In Karnataka, there was violence during Ganpati immersion, tension during the Ganpati immersion in Mandya. BJP calls for a bandh tomorrow. The latest in the Hazratbal Shrine vandalism case, Congress MP's shocking remark. Congress MP Tariq Anwar, he says, what's done is done. "24 hours to go for the vice presidential election. BJD, in the meanwhile, is set to abstain from voting in vice presidential polls." Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shah. With just a day to go for the vice presidential elections, the NDA is going all out to secure a victory. Its candidate Dr. C.P. Radhakrishnan against the opposition's Sudarshan Reddy. The BJP has even organized a special workshop inside Parliament to fine-tune voting strategy and leave no room for any error. NDA allies are gathering their MPs in Delhi for this crucial meeting and the mock sessions that are taking place aimed at consolidating support for C.P. Radhakrishnan. Backed by a clear numbers advantage, the NDA, it is now focusing on one thing, keeping its flock united and disciplined for the polling day. So we're just 24 hours until the vice presidential elections. The NDA, it is intensifying its efforts to secure a victory for its candidate, Dr. C.P. Radhakrishnan, against the opposition's Sudarshan Reddy. The BJP, it is conducting a voting workshop in the parliament in order to strategize and ensure a smooth victory, leaving nothing to chance. NDA allies, they are rallying their MPs in Delhi, in the national capital, for key meetings and practice sessions in order to consolidate the support. Confident in their numerical strength, the NDA is focused on maintaining unity as well as discipline among its ranks. And my colleague Aishwarya Jain joins us to get us more on this. Aishwarya, The NDA clearly has a numerical advantage. They have the numerical strength, but the focus at this point of time is clearly going to be on maintaining unity and discipline among its ranks.
Well, that's right. The NDA wants all its boxes tick as far as the vice presidential poll is concerned, and therefore the reason perhaps since the candidate has been announced by the NDA, CP Radhakrishnan, the NDA top leaders have tried to reach out to every MP who are going to cast their vote in favor of Mr. Radhakrishnan, and therefore the reason perhaps now just ahead of the vice presidential polls tomorrow, there is a training session which is underway in the parliament at some time from now. We will also witness Prime Minister speaking to different NDA MPs from across the length and breadth of the country, and it was a 2-day long workshop that was also organized by the Bharatiya Janata Party MPs, training programs, and which was also organized this morning to the alliance partners of the Bharatiya Janata Party, specifically the JDU, TDP, JDS and the LJP, to which senior ministers from the Modi government took participation. They had given the information as to how to cast the votes for vice presidential polls, specifically to the first time MPs who are going to cast the votes for the very first time. Now remember, because this is not a usual elections, there cannot be whip that can be issued by any party, so there might be cross voting in these elections. There might be certain votes that could be that could be deleted, or the polling officer, if not voted correctly in front of the boxes that will be given to the MPs tomorrow, then there could be these votes that could be deleted as well. So NDA is not letting any stone unturned as far as their vice president pick is concerned. On the other side, the India bloc is also meeting at the Central Hall in the old Parliament, and the training has been given to the India bloc MPs as well. Now, very interestingly, because the BRS and the Biju Janata Dal, that is the BJD, had decided to abstain from its voting, the total number of voting stands at 770. That means any candidate who wants to win these elections have to surpass the halfway majority mark of 376. Clearly the numbers are stacked with the NDA candidate, but still the trainings have been given, and tomorrow it would be Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The sources have indicated to us that he would be the first voter to cast the vote for vice presidential polls, after which it would be the Punjab and Himachal Pradesh MPs, followed by the other MPs as well. Certainly it is Ram Mohan Naidu, Shrikant Shinde and Mr. Kiran Rijiju who had been made the polling officer for the NDA as far as tomorrow's big vice presidential polls are concerned.
In fact, as Aishwarya is there mentioning that as far as the vice presidential elections is concerned, the Biju Janata Dal as well as the BRS, they are set to abstain from the vice presidential polls. The numbers are stacked in favor of the NDA at this point of time. I want to go back to Aishwarya. Aishwarya, has the Biju Janata Dal or the BRS given any formal explanation for abstaining?
Well, both the parties have their own reasons. If we talk about the BRS, then a senior leader from the BRS came out and stated that the union minister from the central government had reached out to the senior leadership of the BRS, and they asked that they do not want BRS in the favor of the NDA candidate. On the other side, the India bloc, which is majorly being led by the Congress party, the BRS have their own contentions as to how the Congress party in Telangana is treating the BRS workers over there, and therefore the reason perhaps they want to remain at a distance position from both the NDA and the India bloc, and the senior leadership of the BRS decided to remain abstain. As far as the Biju Janata Dal is concerned, the Biju Janata Dal has stated that Naveen Patnaik, after consultation with senior members of the BJD, they have decided to remain unequivalent towards the NDA and India bloc to serve better in terms of remaining distance with both the blocs and should remain independent, and therefore the reason perhaps they do not want to support any of the candidate and they will be remaining absent. So therefore 7+4, that means 11 MPs from both BRS and BJD will remain abstained from tomorrow's vice presidential polls.
All right, Aishwarya Jan, thank you very much for getting us all those details. Meanwhile, as far as the opposition's preparation is concerned for the vice presidential election, as the vice presidential election looms, the opposition, it is gearing up for a fierce contest against the NDA's Dr. C.P. Radhakrishnan. A crucial meeting. It is taking place in Delhi. It saw the opposition leaders strategizing, reaching out to AIMIM's Asaduddin Owaisi as well for support, though the BRS, as Aishwarya mentioned, has opted out to abstain from voting. Now, despite the NDA's numerical advantage, the opposition, it is rallying behind its candidate, Sudarshan Reddy, who urged the MPs to vote for India, not for the party. The India bloc will hold a mock polling session for its MPs as well.
Honorable members, I seek your support, not for myself, but for the values that define us as a sovereign democratic republic. In this election, there is no party whip and the ballot is secret. It is not loyalty to any political party, but love for the country that must guide your choice.
देश के सोल को बचाने के लिए मुझे वोट दें, ये है उनका कमेंट जो अखबार में आया है और उन्होंने वीडियो रिलीज किया है। और ये देखिए, देश के सोल को बचाने के लिए वो किससे मिल रहे हैं? लालू प्रसाद से। लालू प्रसाद फॉर्डर स्कैम में कन्विक्टेड हैं। आप किस तरह के रिटायर्ड सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जज हैं? जो व्यक्ति कन्विक्टेड है किसमें? स्कैम में, करप्शन में। जो व्यक्ति कन्विक्टेड है स्कैम और करप्शन में, आप जाके उनसे मिलते हैं।
कौन है ये बीजेपी में महानुभाव?
रविशंकर प्रसाद ने सवाल किया।
हाँ, रविशंकर जी कितनी बार मिलने जाते हैं मैं बताऊं? सुशील मोदी जी की कितनी मुलाकात होती थी? अभी के कितने मंत्री और प्रधानमंत्री जी किन किन मंचों पे मिले हैं? मतलब कुछ तो शालीनता रखिए बरकरार रविशंकर जी। यू आर डेस्परेट टू बिकम अ मिनिस्टर वंस अगेन। आप जिस व्यक्ति के बारे में टिप्पणी कर रहे हैं ना, उस व्यक्ति ने बिहार का सत्ता समीकरण बदल दिया। हाँ, उसको थोड़ा ध्यान में रखिए, आईना सामने रखा कीजिए। इस तरह की ओछी अशोभनीय टिप्पणियों के लिए कम से कम बिहार में कोई जगह नहीं। चिंता करिए इस बात की।
All right, breaking news coming in at this point of time. Nepal is witnessing one of its biggest youth-led uprising in the recent years. The streets of Kathmandu, they have several other cities that have been flooded with the protesters after the government's decision to ban 26 major social media platforms. 16 people, at least 16 people have died in the Gen Z protest against corruption and malgovernance, according to the health ministry there in Nepal. Hundreds of people, they are injured and the hospitals are now facing a resource crunch. Remember, the multiple social media platforms, they have been banned, including Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, Instagram, as well as X. And what began as peaceful demonstrations, it in fact turned violent. There was police fighting, tear gas, water cannons, and even rubber bullets led to multiple deaths and dozens of people getting injured. 16 people, at least 16 people have lost their lives. The Oli government, it defends this ban as a matter of sovereignty and regulation, but for thousands of young Nepalis, this is about free speech, their livelihoods, and a fight against corruption. With a curfew now imposed in many parts of Kathmandu and angry Gen Z on the street, the big question is, Is Nepal on the brink of a digital age political upheaval? So the latest that we are getting as far as the Nepal protests are concerned, at least 16 people have died in Monday's Gen Z protest against corruption and malgovernance. This is what the Health Ministry of Nepal has said. Hundreds of people are injured and hospitals are now facing a resource crunch. There were dramatic visuals that we have been getting you on NDTV, and you can see that on your screen of people in large numbers, in thousands, out on the street protesting against the Yoli government after the ban on multiple social media platforms, as well as against corruption and malgovernance. Now, the latest that we can tell you at this point of time is the death toll has climbed to 16 in these protests. Hundreds of people, they are injured, they are at the hospital, they are now facing a resource crunch. My colleague Mohammad Ghazali joins us to get us more on this. Ghazali, take us through the latest as far as the protests are concerned.
See, right now the death toll has increased to 16. 16 people have been killed in these protests, some of them through the gunshots. Many of them have died while being taken to the hospital. There is absolute chaos in Kathmandu and other adjoining areas because the curfew, which was earlier was just announced for Kathmandu, the time duration has been extended till 10 p.m. and then additional orders of curfew has been issued for other areas around the capital city and other adjoining areas. People have not yet left the street. In certain areas, army has been called out on the streets. Despite restraint, the army and the police forces are trying to disperse the mob, due to which these deaths have been reported from Nepal. The Prime Minister, just a short while ago, a couple of hours ago, was quoted saying that perhaps the youngsters should know that if they violate or if they go against the rule of the law, they will face consequences. The young protesters under the banner of Gen Z, or what they call themselves, they are still on the streets. What they are up against is massive corruption. They have their grievances at how large number of migration is happening in Nepal. They also are being supported by the diaspora of Nepal, which is based in different countries on social media. Their main grievances include that how people close to power are getting jobs and other perks, but ordinary Nepali citizens are not getting jobs. There is unemployment, and then there is massive corruption in the government system, which is they are up against, the protesters are up against that. Now, the Prime Minister, who was aware that perhaps on 8th of September, this young group called Gen Z will come out on the streets for the protest, but had not anticipated this kind of gathering, just 3 days before the protest had issued an order that most of the social media platforms will be banned in Nepal and will not be accessible. That perhaps aggravated the situation, and that is why we see thousands of these people are on the streets, despite it's been more than 4 hours since the people started gathering in Kathmandu and other areas. The situation is still tense. Journalists have also protested the ban of social media in Nepal. Right now, what we are picking up is the death toll has increased to 16 and many more people are injured and have been admitted in the hospital.
Are these protests largely student and youth driven, or have other section of the society also, joined in these protests right now?
See, as of now, it is led by the youth brigade, or say the young generation there, the young population of Nepal, but it always has the potential to get other people from different sectors and from different walks of life to join them, because the basic grievances or the basic issue for which they're protesting is something which impacts everybody in Nepal, be it unemployment, be it corruption, rising prices, and then you also have this Trump's tariff kicking in for every other country. So that is also one of the reasons why people are these young people are very agitated about that. Mr. KP Sharma, Mr. KP Oli's government did come to power promising that they will eradicate corruption, they'll bring a revolution, but that has not been achieved by this government, and that is why that kind of dissatisfaction among the young voters. What they basically are demanding is that there should be a representative who should be in the political system, who should represent the young generation. That is why they are upset about that, how there is favoritism, and that's why Nepo Kid is another account or something which is going viral on social media, on Nepal's social media pages, though social media is not accessible since the ban, but before that this was going viral. Then the diaspora community of Nepal, which is there in different countries, they are also mobilizing people and asking them to join the ongoing protest.
Ghazali, is there any sort of indication that the government is willing to negotiate with the students or the people who are leading these protests? Is there any sort of indication to that?
See, the government is right now, the first priority for the government is to control the situation, because at certain locations we have seen violence in the sense that the government's crackdown against the protester, tear gas shells being used, deaths being reported. So as of now, the first priority of the government is obviously to control the mob, to ask them to leave the streets, and then perhaps negotiations will obviously be followed after the situation becomes normal.
Right. Multiple people have lost their lives in these protests. Nepal, as far as we have been reporting, it is witnessing one of its biggest youth-led uprisings in the recent years, and the streets of Kathmandu and several other cities, they have been flooded with protesters after the government's sudden decision to ban 26 major social media platforms, including Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, Instagram and X. And what has begun as a peaceful demonstration earlier, it has now turned violent. 16 people have lost their lives. Police firing tear gas, water cannons and even rubber bullets. It has led to 16 deaths so far and dozens of injuries. Let me go back to Mohammad Ghazali. Ghazali, you know, the big question at this point of time is the country, is Nepal on the brink of a digital age political upheaval? Can we say that?
Yes, we can say that, but it will be too premature to sort of predict the outcome of this agitation, because we had seen similar agitation starting off in Bangladesh, and that led to a complete kind of the prime minister being overthrown, and then she had to take political asylum, and situation is still not very stable in Bangladesh, one of the other neighbors of India. Here right now, we don't know that who is backing these protests, because there are certain politicians who are obviously backing the protests, but they don't want to come in front or lead it. So it may be a nameless, a group which has the name, but you don't have a definitive face. There are young students, young protesters who are part of the protest, those who gave the call for protest, but how far they can achieve it, it will also have to be seen whether this protest spreads to other areas of Nepal, not just Kathmandu, and whether people join them from all the corners of the country. Because what happened, if you just go by the history of what happened back in Bangladesh, that protest against the government had sparked a kind of widespread protest across the country. So on one particular day, on 5th of August, when Sheikh Hasina had to flee the country, people from across the country were marching towards Dhaka. Today, the protest call was indicative of the fact that protesters had asked people to gather near the residence of Prime Minister of Nepal, but before they could gather near the residence of Prime Minister, many other areas or venues became the point where protesters had gathered, and then they had to face the crackdown from police forces. And that is why it will have to be assessed, because it is too early to predict that which way this protest will go, or whether there will be negotiations, because 16 deaths is a big number for the last 4 hours of this protest, and it could go any way. The government has called emergency meeting as well, so perhaps after the meeting we would know what kind of directions or orders government will give to the security forces, whether they are trying to identify the faces with whom negotiations can be carried out.
Absolutely. And is there a possibility that this crisis could destabilize the government or realign, trigger political realignments? We'll only have to wait and watch and see how things develop there. But listen in to what KP Sharma Oli, the Nepalese Prime Minister, has to say.
नेपालको कानुन मान्नुपर्ने, कुनै विदेशीले कारोबार गर्यो भने कानुन मान्नु नपर्ने, जेनजी पुस्तालाई पिर पर्यो अरे, राम्रो लागेन अरे, जेनजी पुस्ता भन्ने चाहिँ कुनै ठगी खाने भाडो हो।
तपाईं आज यो प्रोटेस्टमा किन आउनु भयो? Is this your first time in the protest?
Yeah, this is my first time I'm against the corruption.
तपाईले करप्सन भइराछ भनेर चाहिँ कसरी थाहा पाउनु भयो?
अब हेर्नुस् नेपाल सरकार एकदमै अब झुट बोल्नु झुट बोल्दिन म नेपाल एकदमै गरिब देश हो मान्छेले सरकारले तलब खान्छन् 77,000 75,000 अनि विकली मालदिप्स ट्रिप युरोप ट्रिप कहाँबाट आइराछ त हाम्रै ट्याक्स गरेको पैसाबाट अब यदि त ट्याक्स तिरेको पैसा सही ठाउँमा लगानी भएको भए अहिले हामी भत्केको रोडमा हिँड्नु पर्थ्यो त यो त्यही भएर करप्सन त भएको छ.
All right, so at least 16 people have died in the Gen Z protest against corruption and malgovernance, and this is what the Health Ministry of Nepal has said. These are images that we are getting you from across the country, and not just Kathmandu. Hundreds of people, they have been injured. They are in the hospital, and they are now facing a resource crunch in the hospitals as well. We'll slip into a very, very short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Captain Chakravarti, not one but two warships. That's amazing. You know, Vishnu and I, through our careers, have been to many commissionings. Vishnu a few more than me because he's slightly older than me.
He wants to rub that in. Yeah, but that's just a side dig. Carry on with the...
Yeah, but two ships is incredible. I mean, that's, tell us why that is so significant. You know, the Indian Navy with its huge expanding responsibilities is hungry for more ships. So getting two ships at the same time is a bonus, isn't it, sir?
Yeah, of course. Like you said it yourself, the responsibilities are increasing. Indian Ocean is where the action is happening, and Indian Ocean is going to be the future playground for all not just the navies, the nations around the world. And Indian Navy, as the preferred security partner, is very active in this area. Given the responsibility and the large area that is, the number of assets is required. And that's the reason we are getting these warships. They're not just numbers, it's not just the quantity, it's the quality of these warships also, because they have high speed and they have got very large endurance and they can stay out at sea for long times. The frigates are very versatile ships to be. And so these two warships are going to add a punch, not just to the Eastern Naval Command, in particular, of course, Eastern Naval Command, but to the Indian Navy in general.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है
मैडम एक बार को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
All right, breaking news coming in. Tension and protests in Mandya district in Karnataka after there was stone pelting incident during the Ganesh idol immersion procession. This in fact took place in the Maddur town on Sunday night. In fact, today there were protests held over the stone pelting while the BJP has called for a bandh tomorrow. Meanwhile, the BJP leader Pratap Sinha, he has called Chief Minister of Karnataka Siddaramaiah anti-Hindu. He says that the provocation came from the mosque. The Hindus then reacted. The Chief Minister has retorted saying whether it is Hindus or Muslims, the action will be taken as per the law. Listen in.
Provocation came from the masjid. Allinda bandiruvanthadu. Hindus never act, they only react. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಏನೋ ನಾವು ವಾಪಸ್ ಅವರಿಗೇನು ಹೋಗಿ ನಾವು ದಾಳಿ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮವರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಸೇರಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ಗೂ ಬಂದು ನ್ಯಾಯ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ವಿ ಆರ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಸೀಕಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇನೆ. ಪ್ರೊವೊಕೇಶನ್ ಅವ್ರ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಬಂದಿರೋದು ಮಸೀದಿನ ಜಪ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಮಚ್ಚು ಲಾಂಗು ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಅವ್ರು ಸೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆ ಮಸೀದಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕಲ್ಲು ಹ್ಯಾಂಗ್ ಬಂತು, ಆ ಮುಲ್ಲಾ ಯಾವನಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಆ ಮುಲ್ಲಾನ ಮೇಲೆ FIR ಆಗಬೇಕು. ನಮಗೆ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲಿ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟೆಡ್ ಅನ್ನೋದಾದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ಹಿಂದೆ 2 ದಿನದ ಹಿಂದೆ ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನರು ಶಾಂತಿ ಪ್ರಿಯರು ಅಂತಂದ್ರು. ಕಲ್ಬಿಸಾಡ್ದವ್ರು ಯಾರು ಸರ್? ಶಾಂತಿ ಪ್ರಿಯರು ಕಲ್ಬಿಸಾಡ್ತಾರ? UAPI ಕೇಸ್ಗಳು ಯಾಕೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರಿ? ಯಾಕೆ KJಹಳ್ಳಿ ಮತ್ತು DJಹಳ್ಳಿ ಪ್ರಕರಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಂಥ ಕೇಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ವಾಪಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರಿ? ವಫ್ಗೆ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಿಂದೂಗಳ ಭೂಮಿಯನ್ನು ಕಬಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಇದ್ರ ಮೆಸೇಜಿಂಗ್ ಏನು? ಭುವನೇಶ್ವರಿ ತಾಯಿಯನ್ನ, ಕನ್ನಡ ಬಾವುಟವನ್ನು ಅವಮಾನಿಸಿದಾಕೆಯನ್ನ ಯಾಕಾಗಿ ದಸರಾ ಉದ್ಘಾಟನೆ ಕರಿತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಬಹಳ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯನವರು ಆಂಟಿ ಹಿಂದೂ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಸೀದಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಮೆರವಣಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಲಘು ಲಾಠಿ ಪ್ರಹಾರ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ನವರು. ಯಾಕಂತಂದರೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ನವ್ರು ಮಾತ್ರ ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಲ್ಬೇಡಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವರು ಗುಂಪು ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಲಘು ಲಾಠಿ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸುಮಾರು 21 ಜನ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ.
ತಪ್ಪಿತಸ್ಥರ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಯಾರು ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಹಿಂದೂಗಳು ಮಾಡಲಿ, ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನರು ಮಾಡಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೇ ಮಾಡಲಿ, ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾನೂನು ರೀತಿಯ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ನಡೆದಿಲ್ಲ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ, ಮದ್ದೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂಗಾಗಿದೆ.
All right, my colleague Deepak Bopanna, he's live with us at this moment. Deepak, over to you.
Well, I'm at the area where last night the clashes took place. It was about 7:30 and 8:30. Between that period, when a procession was being carried out in a stretch of a road which is just about 200 meters from where I am, where a Ganesha procession was going on, and all of a sudden, some locals say that the electricity was cut off, and then stones started to come in at the procession, and then there was retaliation as well. But to get a clear picture of what happened last night, I have the residents here. One of them, Ajay, was seriously injured in last night's attack. Let me take this question first across to him. Ajay, can you tell us what happened last night? Because I believe that you were attacked by a group of people. Yaar attack ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು, ಏನಾಯಿತು, ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಷನ್ ನಡೀತು, ಏನು ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತಾ?
ಸರ್, ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಅಜಯ್ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು 29 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್. ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಹುಟ್ಟಿ ಬೆಳೆದಿದ್ದಲ್ಲ. ನಿನ್ನೆ ಏನೋ ಗಣೇಶ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮಸೀದಿಯಿಂದ ಕಲ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೋ ಹೊಡೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ನಾನು. ಸರಿ, ಆಗ ನಾನು ನಮ್ಮ ಅಣ್ಣ ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಬರೋಣ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗಲ್ಲಭೆ ನಡೀತಾ ಇತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಣ್ಣ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು 100 - 150 ಜನ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದೇ ನಾನು ಆಗ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದೆ ಸರ್. ನನಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೊಡೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ರು ಅವರು.
ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರ?
ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಆ ಥರ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದೆ ನಾನು. ನಾನು ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಎತ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ, ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೊಡೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ರು ನನಗೆ. ಆ ಥರ ಹೊಡೆದೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು 7-8 ಜನ ಸುತ್ಕೊ ಹೊಡೆದಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ರು. ನನಗೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಆಚೆ ಬರೋದಂತನೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಓಡಿ ಬಂದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 100 ಮೀಟ್ರ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲೇ ಬಿದ್ದು ಅನ್ಕಾನ್ಷಿಯಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ನಾನು.
ಯಾರು ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಸೇರಿಸೋದು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾ ನಿಮಗೆ?
ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಒಂದು 100 ಮೀಟ್ರಲ್ಲೇ ನಮ್ಮ ರಿಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಬೀದಿಲಿರೋರು ನಮ್ಮ ರಿಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲಿಗೆ.
To give you a gist of what he's saying, he says that one of his relatives was part of the procession, and he heard that there was some commotion that was happening there. He went there, and all of a sudden, several people gathered around him and started to thrash him. Now, he says that he was just using his mobile phone. Some of them feared that he was recording, the videos of the clashes that were taking place, and that's why he was attacked. And then he fell unconscious. He didn't even know what happened after that. And there was a relative who found him unconscious there and took him to a hospital. ಯಾವ ತರ ಇಂಜುರೀಸ್ ಇದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಇವಾಗ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದಾ
ಸರ್? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 6 ಸ್ಟಿಚ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್. ನಿನ್ನೆ ನೈಟ್ ಹಾಕಿದ ಸ್ಟಿಚಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ CT ಸ್ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ತೆಗೆದು
ಈ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಷನ್ ನಡೆಯುವಾಗ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಅವರು ಇದ್ರ ನೆನೆ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಇತ್ತಾ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಇತ್ತು ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್?
ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್, ಪೊಲೀಸ್ಗೂ ಹೊಡೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಪೊಲೀಸ್ಗೂ ಸುಮಾರು ಜನ ಗೇಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಬಂದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ.
saying that the police were also attacked yesterday. ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಕಲ್ಲು ತೂರಾಟ ಆಗಿದ್ದು ನೆನೆ?
ಸರ್ ಕಲ್ಲು ತೂರಾಟ ಆಗಿದ್ದು ಅದು ಮುಂಚೆ ಆಗಿದ್ದು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಬ್ರದರ್ ಇದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಿದ್ದು ನಾನು.
ಕಲ್ಲು ತೂರಾಟ ಯಾವಾಗ ಆಗಿದ್ದು?
ಅದು ನಾನು ಹೋಗಿ ಒಂದು 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ಮುಂಚೆ ಆಗಿರೋದು ಜ್ವರ.
ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ?
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಸೀದಿಯಿಂದ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗಣೇಶ ಹೋಯ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನೋ ಕಲ್ಲು ಬೀಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಈ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ. ಆಗ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿದೆ ಸರ್.
ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದಾ ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು ವಾತಾವರಣ ನೆನೆ ರಾತ್ರಿ? ಹೌ ವಾಸ್ ದ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್?
No, he was in home only. Then my son was not feeling well. I called him. Then he came to home. Then he went to hospital. Then he was standing there. Just he was seeing what was happening there. That's it. But he was watching the reels. He was watching the reels in phone. Then they think that he's taking video. Then they hit him by stone or what they hit we don't know. Then he felt unconscious. Then my relatives saw him. Then they took to hospital. Police only arranged the auto. Then they took him to hospital. He was unconscious. Then they took treatment all. Then
I'm sorry, I can understand that if you don't want to speak. I don't want to, of course, stress you out at this moment. I hope he's doing fine now, so I'm sure it's going to get better. Did the police assure you anything when you went to them and spoke to them?
No, I did not speak with anyone. Just I went to hospital. I looked him. They was doing treatment for him. Then they told that to take CT scan. Then he went to Mandya hospital. Then only he got unconscious. Then only he's active. Then they went to station. They gave statement. Then he's normal now.
He's better.
Yeah, he's better now.
How was the environment overall last night when the Ganesha procession started? Tell us first how was the environment, and then later how did it turn out to be?
No, first it was normally. Slowly the Ganesha was going on. Then these Muslim peoples took these stones. Then they hit on Ganesha. Then more crowd happened. Then these fights all started. Okay, he was just watching. That's it.
They thought he was taking a video.
He's taking the video. Then they hit them.
Okay.
That's it.
So that's the that's the version of the family here that's coming in, and Ajay, of course, injured. He says he's got multiple stitches on his head, being treated. You've also registered a police complaint.
Yes, sir, registered.
Okay, he's registered a police complaint. The FIR has been registered. The police, of course, confirmed earlier as well that one FIR is a suo moto FIR, which the police themselves have registered, and then the other is on the basis of injured like Ajay. Multiple people, of course, injured first because of stone pelting, and then the clashes that took place, and then the lathi charge as well last night and today as well, because there were protests that ensued. There were lathi charges that took place today too, and many people, including young children, have been injured as well. Back to you in the studios.
Close watch on how things develop there. In Monday, the BJP has called for a bandh tomorrow in response to this entire incident. Deepak Bopanna, thank you very much for getting us those voices. Time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Massive protest over malgovernance, corruption and social media ban in Nepal. 16 people have lost their lives. The army has been deployed. Corruption, social media ban has angered the Nepalese youth. Supreme Court asked the Election Commission to consider Aadhaar as a document for identity of voter in Bihar SIR. It clarifies that it's not proof of citizenship. Violence during Ganpati immersion in Mandya in Karnataka. Tension during Ganpati immersion. The BJP has called for bandh tomorrow. Congress MP's shocking remark after the Hazrat Bal Shrine Vandalism Act. Congress MP Tariq Anwar says, what's done is done.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I'm the medical officer of this unit, sir.
Good afternoon.
So nice to meet you.
Thank you, sir. Same this side, sir.
So this is the firing range.
Yes, sir. This is our firing range, sir.
You handle weapons, right? I've handled weapons. Yeah, हम लोग एक तो shooting में we get to handle weapons.
Yes.
They are not real guns, but they are very similar. So the functioning of it is very similar.
आपने training वगैरह?
मैंने training भी ली है और I own a weapon also, licensed weapon. So I've shot in firing ranges in Mumbai and all. I'm a member also there. Wow. मैम हम ये क्या गन देख रहे हैं?
ये इंसास राइफल है, sir.
So this is Indian made?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
And we'll be firing from, sir, AK-203.
Okay.
That is Indian made,
That
sir.
is also Indian.
Yes, sir.
Can I look at the bullets?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. This is the bullet of INSAS, sir. The bullet will be different for the AK-203, sir.
So I can fire this?
Yes, sir.
But somebody needs to guide me.
जो लिम्बर आपके आदेश पर आप लाइन पोजीशन लेंगे।
अच्छा।
और इसके बाद इसको यहाँ पर आप
सपोर्ट लेंगे। करेक्ट।
लिम्बर आप में आप लाइन पोजीशन और बाट और खंडे का मिलाप रखते हुए और आप फोर हैंड ग्रिप पर पकड़ते हुए सीज का अलाइनमेंट करें। बर की आदेश पर आप मैगजीन वेट की अंदर पर घुसा नहीं।
ओके। आगे ना सर? हाँ चलिए।
फायर लाइन ऑफ। हाँ लिम्बर ऑफ। फायर भर। चलो सामने टारगेट। अपना टाइम पर 5 राउंड फायर।
When we say we're standing on a piece of history, I really mean it. We're standing on the Indian Navy's newest warship. She's called INS Udaygiri. And the reason why this is a piece of history is because for the first time, the Indian Navy isn't just inducting this particular ship, but 2 ships of this kind. For the first time ever, 2 big warships are being commissioned into service together. Now, if that isn't history, what is? The Indian Navy, an incredible service, a navy that is respected the world over, welcomes these 2 beautiful ships into service today. And we are so honored, Vishnu and I. How lucky are we to have the commanding officers of both those ships standing with us here today. That's right, on Control All Defense, Captain Robin Chakravarti of INS Himgiri and Captain Vikas Sood of INS Udaygiri, the 2 newest warships, the pinnacle of warship construction. Incredibly proud day, Vishnu.
No, I remember, about 25 odd years back, Shiv, I was lucky enough to get
Welcome back. The top court has spoken on the sensitive SIR case. The top court has come down heavily on the Election Commission, questioning why Aadhaar was not being accepted as a valid ID proof. The court has now extracted an undertaking from the Election Commission, making it clear that Aadhaar must be accepted as the 12th document under the Representation of People Act. The Supreme Court also underlined that Aadhaar is proof of identity, not citizenship. It stressed that illegal immigrants cannot find their way into the voter list. My colleague Nupur Dogra has more details.